Good evening. I'd like to welcome all of you here this evening to our second installment of Candidate Forum. This one is for El Rancho Unified School District. And as you can see, we have 5 candidates who are seeking your vote to represent you on the school district board. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We are nonpartisan in that we never support any political candidate, and we do not support or oppose candidates for any political office from local to federal. We are political because we do get involved in issues and lobbying for ballot measures and state bills and so forth, only under the circumstances in which we have studied a government policy issue, have discussed it, come to consensus on what the policy directions ought to be, and then written a formal policy. We use those policies to analyze bills and to analyze ballot measures and decide whether or not we are going to take a position. The position we can take can be support with amendments to try and make the bill better, or oppose, or stay neutral. And we also have what we call no position, which means that we've never studied it, and therefore we don't have any business making our attitudes known. This evening we are in our voter service mode, conducting a candidates forum so that you, the voters, can listen to and ask questions of the people who seek to represent you on your Unified School District Board. The candidates have agreed to our rules of conduct and have consented to those rules. That includes that they will talk about themselves but will not talk about or criticize other candidates, that they will adhere to the time limits, and that we're asking the audience to try and hold your applause during the event so that we can get as many questions answered as possible, and then we'll have a time at the end to thank all of our candidates with a good round of applause. So, the candidates have drawn for order of speaking. We're starting with number 1 here on this side, and we will work our way down to number 5 on this side. For opening statements, each candidate has 2 minutes to tell you about themselves and what they think are the most important issues within the school district. Then we will have a time period where your questions will be asked and answered. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question. Finally, we will give each candidate the opportunity to make a closing statement of 1 minute, and we'll do that closing statement in reverse order. So we would start at this end of the table and work our way down this direction. In the interim with questions, I will vary who starts and who ends so that one person always doesn't have to be the one with the ideas at the very outset, and you don't always follow the same person. And I encourage everyone to vote and to help your neighbors and friends and relatives become better informed and then cast a ballot. And by next Monday, I think, there will be copies of election info in English at your 2 county libraries, and the Spanish edition will be coming later in the week. So that has information about the ballot measures, including the 2 county ballot measures, information about candidates for sheriff and for Superior Court judge. And the other thing I need to tell you is all these wonderful people have posted profiles of themselves on the League's nonpartisan website called votersedge.org. It's a great place to go to learn about all the people and the issues that are on your ballot, and you can even save your choices on that Voters Edge website and use it as a resource. So thank you to all the candidates who have participated. We really appreciate it. And we hope that you as voters will use that resource and share it with your neighbors. First, we will have opening statement from Carolyn Castillo.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women's Voters for hosting this forum. I'm Carolyn Castillo, your school board president, seeking re-election. El Rancho Unified School District has several challenges facing them. First, declining enrollment. This year we lost 400 students. That translates into $4 million of less budget. The condition of the facilities. We have great educators. They live in the community, they have children in the community, but we owe them to make sure that our facilities, equipment, and support they need is available for them to do the best job. Next is the consolidation of facilities. No one wants to think about it, but someone has to make these hard decisions and support so that we have our highest education opportunities for our children. Learning loss. Coming out of the pandemic, we need to bring out strategies to improve our students' performance back to the pre-level, pre-COVID days to improve the graduation rates. My plan is to work on academics, improve graduation rates, and develop relationships with our local colleges for concurrent enrollment. Bond projects. Get them done. Career pathways. Develop readiness programs to prepare our students for emerging careers for the future. District fiscal responsibilities. Managing your tax dollars. I'm committed to ensure that expenditures bring value, not waste. Ensure safety. It is essential that we provide safe environments for our students, staff, and faculty. I am committed to providing the best education to your children, your grandchildren. Thank you.
Now we will hear from Hector Lafarga.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum. It's an honor to be here with all of you this evening. I'm Hector Lafarga Jr., a candidate for school board. For 30 years, I have dedicated my professional career to educating, mentoring, and preparing our youth to pursue their dreams. This is why I'm running for school board. My wife and I have 4 children, all of whom have attended or are attending schools in the district. Our daughters both attend Rivera Middle School, are doing well academically, and are involved in student council. Our youngest son attends El Rancho, is a scholar athlete, and the #2 cross-country runner at the school. Our oldest son graduated in 2019 and is working and going to school with plans to transfer to a 4-year university next year. As a parent involved in the school site council and the district advisory council since 2019, I have seen our district's needs firsthand. My top priorities are increased resources for our students and teachers to succeed, more parent involvement, better school safety, and steady leadership in our district employees. We also have to address declining enrollment, our facility needs, and enhance our accountability and communication across the district. My relevant experience includes working in early childhood education, after-school expanded learning, mentoring, adult and parent education, workforce and professional development, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and emergency response management, and I also understand governance. Personally, I've been an AYSO volunteer for 12 years as a coach, a referee, and a board member. And I also taught high school coming out of college because I didn't know what to do, but I did that for 2 years. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for your time.
Now we will hear from Esther Mejia.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for holding this event for us and for our community. My name is Esther Mejia. I'm the current Vice President at El Rancho Unified School District. I've been a long-time resident of Pico Rivera for 46 years. All of my children have attended this district. They're a product of our community, as am I and my husband. The reason I'm running for school board again is because I've served for the past 2 years, and the job is not done. We have a lot more to do. I'm an English learner. I was an English learner at El Rancho Unified, and one of the proudest moments that I've had so far as a school board member is that I did Teen Read Week, and I did this at an English learner class, and I read in Spanish. And the students were, they weren't impressed. They were like, whoa, you're able to be fluent in English and Spanish, and they saw me in themselves. They said, I could be a school board member. And that's why I'm running, because I want to improve the opportunities for our students. I am so proud of our students and our community, and I know that if we work together, we will improve our district. Our mission statement, the other thing that I'm really proud of is that I've requested that we read the mission statement before every meeting, because that's what we should do. We should always focus on our students. And one of the things that I love about the mission statement is that we will actively partner with the community as its leading educational institution. Actively partner. That means that our policy is influenced by you, by your values. Your values are what influence our decisions. I don't want us just to read the mission statement. I want us to live it. There are some challenges, but I don't see them as challenges. I see them as opportunities, because together we will find solutions for declining enrollment. We have amazing programs, but we need to promote them more. Together we could do this, not in a vacuum, but together. Thank you for your time.
Our next candidate this evening is Jacqueline Valencia.
Hello, buenas noches. My name is Jacqueline Perez Valencia, and I was born and raised here in Pico Rivera. I'm so proud to be here. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you to my family for supporting me through all of this. I'm a proud alum of the University of Laverne, where I studied sociology and business management. Not only was I a student that completed her bachelor's degree, but since then I have gone off and to Washington, D.C. as a congressional intern to learn more about the policy process there. I have also been able to do the Solis Policy Institute through the Women's Foundation California, which is where I work now, and train leaders throughout the state to really advocate for their communities. I want to bring that knowledge to our community now and be a service to our students. When I was growing up, I was the oldest child. I didn't have anybody to help me. I had to resort to my teachers, my counselors, and everyone else that would listen to me. I want to be that person that encourages them to go out and shoot for their dreams. Who would have thought the little girl that learned to speak English till second grade would go off to DC, go off and live a life that she's proud of. So I want to be able to inspire that to your students as well. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from John Contreras.
Good evening, League of Women Voters. Thank you for having us here, and also guests, my kids. My name is John Contreras. As a father of 3 students attending El Rancho High School and El Rancho Unified School District, a longtime community advocate for safe schools and better education, I feel it is time for me to step into the position of school board member to continue the journey in preparing our students for a successful future. Being a graduate of ERUSD and having a wife who works for the district, I understand the challenges we face and the changes that need to be made so that our focus remains on our students, our classrooms, and with our educators. I want to help create a safe learning environment so that our teachers can focus on our students to help them succeed and learn to their maximum potential. In order to promote a safe learning environment, I would like to see more support for our school police and SSOs by adding more personnel to both and making sure we complete the process of hiring a Pico Rivera Sheriff School Resource Officer. Raising my kids in Pico Rivera, where I have also been raised, has taught me about the importance of family support, education, and teamwork. Coaching our city's youth in sports for the past 12 years at Rivera, RBA, and at AYSO at Smith Park has allowed me to help instill these family values and support in many athletes in our community. As a first-generation college graduate from Cal State University of Fullerton, I will continue to work hard for every student so that they have every opportunity to succeed in school, on the field, and most importantly, in life. I believe that with my personal experiences in work, education, charity, and public service, we can come together to move forward in the right direction to prepare our children for future jobs and changing the world. I have personal interest in seeing that our students succeed, and many community leaders support me for my efforts, but more importantly, I would like your support and your trust. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to our question and answer period, and the candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question. This first question asks, what do you see as the challenges facing the school district, and how will you address them? And we will begin with Mr. Lafarga. We will work our way down to Mr. Contreras and end with Ms. Castillo. And you may stay at your seats.
Thank you. So the main challenge that I see is that over the last 5 years, we've had 3 superintendents. And so this has slowed the progress of our district. That's just the sad reality, right? So what we need is consistent and steady leadership. And more importantly, we need leadership that's aligned around a vision and strategy to elevate our district. With the buy-in of all our stakeholders in our community, including our students, our parents, our community partners, our city folks. The vision has to be aligned for us to get to a better place and keep our folks at the leadership level for years, because that's really when you affect change. You can't start over every 2 years, because then you're just, you're taking 2 years back in terms of steps. So really steady leadership in the districts is important for me.
So again, I don't like to think in a deficit mindset. I like to think in a growth mindset. We have opportunities. Yes, enrollment is low, but we have the opportunity to promote our schools. We have the opportunity to work together to find solutions to these challenges, opportunities. Just really having a growth mindset and not a deficit mindset. Our students have a learning opportunity, not learning loss, learning opportunity. If we keep on thinking that way, we're going to come to solutions. We cannot be thinking in a deficit mindset. Working together with with everyone. We definitely need to do more parent engagement so that our parents feel that they're part of the solution. We have a high turnover, but we need to be, as already been mentioned, we need steady leadership. But mostly, we need to have a common ground with vision and mission.
Okay. Good evening. Yes. I think the biggest issue I see and why I'm really running is because there's a lack of communication. And I know that's been highlighted when I've gone to school board meetings and everyone's aware, but there's no implementation plan. Yes, there's the conversation, yeah, we're trying, there's a Facebook post, there's a YouTube video that goes up, but what is really being done? I have neighbors that I constantly have to tell them, did you know that there's a dual immersion program with Rio Hondo? No, I didn't know that. Like, did you know that there's after-school tutoring that you can take your students to? No, like, who do I even ask? And that's the thing, like, we cannot keep. It's great that we're bringing all these opportunities, but if we're not really connecting the opportunities to the people that need it, then we've done them a disservice.
I see some of the issues. I agree with some of the. Everyone had really good answers. Turnover rates at the administrative level have been very consistent, I guess I should say, and we need to have focus on that. And one of the issues that's been brought up to me is that we need to give the current people an opportunity. 4 years, it seems like a long time, but it really isn't. Even 3 years, it's a short period of time for them to establish themselves. So I think that we need to focus on the turnover rates at the administrative level. Also, the focus needs to go back into the classrooms. A lot of focus has been taken away from the children's needs at both at the learning and at the mental health level. I think we need to bring that focus back into the classrooms, not only with the children, but with the teachers, and also at home with the parents in respects to that learning and also mental health. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. As I ponder what is the greatest challenges, I believe it's our students. Our students need to be aware of what career opportunities they have in the future. It starts now, and it starts probably in middle school. And I'm seeing from my research on workforce of the future, we need to prepare our students not only for college, but for all careers. There are new careers emerging in the workforce that we don't even know about. So if we can get some classes integrated or courses integrated to things such as critical thinking, collaboration, and problem solving, that will prepare our students better as they enter the workforce. But we need to instill it at a younger age, and we need to do it now. Thank you.
Okay, these people are concerned about the academic achievement of the students in the district, both recovery from COVID loss during the pandemic when they were home trying to teach themselves online, and this particular question says, student scores are lower than in surrounding communities. What strategies would you propose for the district to use to improve basic reading and math scores within the district? And for this question, we will begin with Ms. Mejia, go down to Mr. Contreras, come back to Ms. Castillo, and end with Mr. Lafarga.
I would respectfully disagree that we're lower than other, again, growth mindset. We are higher than other school districts, and if you focus on us being low, that means that you might not believe in us, and I believe in us. I believe in our students. I believe in our teachers. So what I would propose is that we need to have fidelity on our strategic plan, in our local control accountability plan, and our school site council, school plan for student success, achieving, excuse me. If we don't have fidelity to it, then we're not going to make growth. Due to the high turnover, sometimes initiatives aren't fully implemented. One example that I could give you is RTI. But now we have MTSS, which is the multi-support framework, that if we have fidelity to it, we will improve our scores. And this is nationwide. It's not just here in Pico Rivera that the scores are low. Thank you.
Okay. So yes, academic achievement. The reality is, students, I was reading a report, students lost about 2 trillion in-person hours. That didn't mean that they didn't learn something. Teachers were working very hard. But the reality is that they're living at home. I've been here my whole life, and I know, I can attest, I couldn't find a quiet room to work. I can only imagine the students trying to find a quiet room, a quiet corner to try and do their studies. So now that they're back in the classroom, I think 2 things that we can do is increase family involvement. It really takes a village. honestly. It can't rely just on the student. It cannot rely just on the teacher. It has to involve the parents as well. And I know parents are tired from work, but again, it's important to have that communication. It doesn't mean go to school and be there and sit with your child.
I think everybody could agree that COVID was a real life changer for everybody. And what my kids learned how to control the TVs and their phones are really good. So I think they, everybody learned, in a jokingly fashion. Getting to the question, and not everyone learns the same. Some people learn in an environment as a group. Some people learn as individuals. So I think we need to bring that focus back and get back into the classrooms and figure out what works. Talk to the teachers. Talk to the parents, get back to the students and figure out what's working for them. Figure out different ways and not just set just one path. I also would like to reach out. The city has a lot of great after-school programs that they help us with. Reach out to the city and find out if we can get funding through them to figure out different ways and different methods to help these children learn also. Thank you.
Thank you. The students' grades are lower, and this is true across the country. The pandemic affected everyone, and our district was impacted just like every other city. The only way to change this is for some more development, but the development isn't just for the kids. The development is for the teachers, so they're better equipped to use the computers for distance learning than they have in the past. Once they are better equipped to use computers, use the tools in the classroom, that translates into teaching the kids better. They're probably tech savvy as it is now, but with more guidance from the teachers, they would improve. Plus that tutoring is going to have to help everybody. So it's a combination of improving the teachers' skill sets and then moving it on to the students.
Thank you. What I will add is we do have to address the learning loss, the post-COVID learning loss. That's very significant. And that's coupled with the crisis that we're in terms of mental health with our children. What we're seeing right now and what we're going to see in a few years, it's not over. We need to provide those resources adequately to support them for educational attainment. We also need to provide the adequate resources for our students and teachers to succeed. And a budget is a reflection of that. And a budget is a reflection of values. And my values will be centered around the students, teachers, and staff.
The El Rancho School District is facing a $1.5 million deficit. What actions will you take as a part of the school board to minimize the impact on the education being offered to your students? And we will begin with Ms. Valencia.
Sorry, do you mind repeating the second part? I didn't hear it.
How will you work with the school board to minimize the impact on students and accomplish the goals, that you need to accomplish as a school board?
So the way that it works, if there's not enough students enrolled, there's not enough money coming in, which is why we're currently experiencing a deficit. And the reality is that we need money. We need money to invest in our teachers. We need money to invest in our students, in our community. What I've done research on shows that we can no longer just be partnering up or seeking support or funds from the federal government. We need to be outreaching to different institutions in order to gain that funding and to bring in new funds that will then in turn be resources to our students. So again, the pandemic really changed everything and we need to act accordingly. We can't just try to go back to what it used to be. We need to act and be more proactive.
Thank you. We need to look ways to subsidize. I mean, obviously, they keep on saying that the enrollment's going lower and lower. We're getting less and less funding. We need to look for ways to get grants. There's a lot of grants out there. When I was helping out for the recall efforts, people were volunteering to the school boards to write grants, you know, and they were seeking help, or they were wanting to help. So I think there's a good opportunity there to find out to get grants, and also work with the city. We need to remember that we live in a city that is very unique, because they have a school district that's within itself, that lives within the same boundaries of the city. So we need to find ways to work with the city, to be able to work use same programs, to be able to save money in that aspect, because we're serving the same person. The student that goes to high school is the same person that goes to go play AYSO, that goes play at RBA in the park. So we can find money there as well.
Yes, we are facing a deficit. This is not good for any board member to hear. But what are we going to do about it? First of all, we have to be more efficient. That means it's a better alignment within the organization. We have to improve our internal controls, and we need to reduce waste. Lately, at our last board meeting, we talk about organizational change, and it's probably because it's needed now as we look at consolidations in the future. We've already done some consolidations with the closing of Ellen Ochoa High School. That means we had to reassign teachers. There were some teachers who retired, but this is all part of the game plan of looking how you can be more efficient. It's about staff, it's about labor, and it's about schools and reducing the cost to operate our schools. Thank you.
We do have to be fiscally responsible and prudent in our financials and budgets, and making the right decisions for the school district. But I'll go back to my value-centered approach to that. The last thing I would want to do is cut resources for our students, our teachers, and staff. So that would be a priority for me. I will fight for that on the board if I get the chance to serve. And I do agree that we have to pursue money. We have to pursue it through partnerships with the city, opportunities at the state level, federal level, and any other opportunity out there through foundations and private donors. There's money out there. There's a lot of money out there, especially after COVID, that we can take advantage of it. So we just have to do our due diligence to find it and get awarded the money.
The way to look at this is definitely that budget committee. I've been requesting a budget committee for a while now, and I think it's going to happen in January, because the budget committee brings all the stakeholders, everyone to the table to look at the issues. Another thing is also an educational foundation. I've been requesting an educational foundation. We need a 501(c)(3) so we can go after these grants that are available. So looking for ideas for revenue, looking at our facilities as well. I know that sometimes I see the lights on at the school, and it's, you know, they should be off. So we need to look at everything to make sure that we are being efficient. We have buildings that we're leasing, re-looking at that and see, you know, again, being innovative and thinking outside the box, pursuing partnerships, leveraging those partnerships that we have, and checking for duplication of services as well. This will allow for us to, did the time go off? No, now it did. Thank you.
These people ask, how are you going to make sure our schools get fixed, that the air conditioning, the fields, the windows, the buildings are improved and modernized without further financially burdening our residents? And we will begin with Mr. Contreras, go to Ms. Castillo, work our way down to Ms. Valencia.
Good question. For years, I think I don't know, my son, my oldest, might have been in grade school still. They've been asking for an air conditioner at the cafeteria at El Rancho, Still hasn't happened. I think it was like that when I went to El Rancho. We need to prioritize what's needed, and priorities, yes, I understand that there's some priorities that we set as a board, but we also need to listen to the families, the people, the teachers, the students as to what the priorities are. So we have a limited amount of funding, but I think that if we look and we cut a lot of the wasteful spending that we're looking at, we can prioritize those needs that the teachers have, that the students have, because ultimately, every question that's being asked here, the number one question that we should be asking is, how does this benefit the student? Number one.
The environment for our schools is very important. And in the past 2 years, we have approved the air conditioning systems for the elementary schools in terms of the cafeteria. Problem is, it's still in work. It isn't completed yet, but it will in 2024. The other item is people talk about windows. The estimate that we saw for windows when we were looking at bond projects was $24 million. $24 million to buy or to upgrade the windows, when we can look at being more selective and using air conditioning is important, or looking at building a new building that was torn down, replacing it. So we have to be very aware of how well we spend our money. There are grants for air conditioning, and we are proposing to use that now. We haven't seen all the costs yet, but we intend to improve it. Bye-bye.
I feel it's very important that we do enhance our facilities and the needs and the aesthetics, the feel, and the look of our schools. But being fiscally prudent is really, you have to do some financial modeling. Think about it in 5 years. Think about each year how we can move the needle forward to advance these projects and not be reactive but proactive in that regard from a financial planning standpoint. So I would really push the board to do that kind of thinking, long-term vision, and be methodical about where you can not cut, but hold and spend here and spend there to get to the end point of getting our facilities where they need to be.
So we're in the process of doing another facilities master plan. I think that that's going to help us greatly because it's going to prioritize what needs to be done. Another thing that we have done is, as a board, is we've created board policy to reduce waste because there was so much waste. And it's really sad to think of how many millions of dollars we lost. We started projects, and I say we as a district. I wasn't on the board, but there was projects that started and they were never completed. So we changed board policy so it takes unanimous votes for projects over $100,000. That way there's no 3-2 vote, and that way we will see that a project gets completed. Another thing is that we just have to really, really keep in mind just what's going to help our students. What do they need? What do they need? Because they need a lot, but if we're strategic with our monies and we maximize by seeking state funding, we'll get more done. Thank you.
So the question is, how can things get fixed without burning residents? This is a big question I keep getting from the community members I talk to. They're always telling me our taxes in our home are going up and things like that. I've been reading a lot, and the bond ER, the way that it works is that, at least to my understanding, is that it's based on the assessment of your home, not necessarily based on how much the value of your home at the moment, which means that we're capped. I believe the amount is $99 per home. So again, I know that's money. That's a lot of money to all of us. But what I want to say is that there is that bond, and we just need to put pressure. Each project takes 18 months to 3 years, and I think that's a lot. There needs to be a push for speeding up those processes.
This person asks, should students continue being taught historical events such as slavery and Native American history as part of their U.S. history curriculum? And we'll begin with Mr. Contreras, and we will work our way to Ms. Castillo.
I think history is very important. Soy mexicano, mis papás son mexicanos, nacieron en México, soy el único nacido aquí. I am of Mexican descent. My parents, my family, my sister, they were all born in Mexico. And I think it's very important for my kids, first generation here, to know their background, to know their culture, because we can't move forward without knowing where we've been, without knowing the struggles, the mistakes, the accomplishments, and to be very proud, to have that pride inside of you, to know where you come from. So I think that type of learning in school is very important so that we can teach our kids and be able to move forward. Thank you.
Definitely. The same, I echo. It's really important that we know our history. If we don't know our history, we tend to repeat it. And it's important that we learn to collaborate. What is the word? When I was in college, they would tell us, it was honestly the first time I was ever exposed to other cultures, because growing up here in Pico Rivera, todos somos Latinos, the pozole, the piñatas, like, it's fine. But when I went to college, learning about gumbo and learning about all these new dishes, and I wanted to learn, but I didn't have a background enough to feel competent to have conversations with people, of asking them, like, do you prefer to be called Black? Do you prefer to be called Native American? Like, what do you want to be called? Like, it's really important that we have these conversations with our students and expose them to new opportunities to learn.
So for the state has guidelines and frameworks for what is taught in the district. So that's part of history. And yes, we would still study that. But we also have the ethnic studies that we offer at El Rancho, and we have the opportunity for students to learn other cultures, which is very important. I concur with what Ms. Perez Valencia said, as far as, this is our town, and we're proud of our heritage, we're proud of our roots, but at the same time, we seek to learn other cultures so that our students have that advantage of once they go out to college. So there's no culture shock. My sons went up to Chico, and there was culture shock there, but he was okay. So just having those opportunities to learn different cultures help our students a lot, and they'll be more prepared globally. Thank you.
I agree with everything that's been said, and so the short answer is yes. I too, I went to UCLA out of East LA, and I was like, oh my God, this is such a different world. And it really was. But we have to prepare our kids for a global workforce. They're going to be a part of that. And so they have to understand not only the cultures of America, but the cultures of the entire world, because that's where we're headed in terms of the global economy. And so it's really important that they come out stronger with an understanding. And just to add to that, kind of our recent issues around social justice that we face here, that's even more important for them to understand the dynamics of each of us, and how we were brought up, what were our experiences like, and how we can kind of build the bridges together. Even more recent with the LA City Council. That's just the most recent example of understanding where we all come from and how we can all work together.
Yeah, thank you. Diversity is very important for our students, and I believe that they embrace it very well. The only concern that I have is when they leave our district and our community, how will they be treated? I want them to be wearing shields so that they are confident that they can succeed in any position they go after. And I believe that if they're well equipped with history and a knowledge of culture, they'll be able to succeed. It makes me frightened when we hear about places like in Florida where they're censoring books. That is a real problem. We need to make sure that everybody has opportunities to read anything they want, study anything they want, and pursue their dreams. And they need to go out feeling that self-esteem.
This sort of follows along with the previous question. Should the El Rancho faculty receive training in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and belonging? And if so, should it be mandatory for all faculty? And we'll begin with Ms. Valencia, we'll work our way to Ms. Castillo, and we will end with Mr. Contreras.
Same answer, of course. Our teachers are with your students, with your children, most of the day. They see them more than you do. The teachers that are there to educate them in whichever subject it is should offer them support and guidance, and they do. And what is important is that they express themselves and are able to allow their students to express themselves as well. When it comes to diversity inclusivity, that's one of the pillars that I have always really relied on really strengthening that for myself and for my family, expressing that it's important that we value the differences and come together to really create change.
I believe that our school district should be inclusive and that we should accept everyone. As far as mandating, I would like our teachers to have voice and choice. I don't think you need to mandate someone to do something. I think that they'd be very open to doing it. Our teachers always go above and beyond, and I think that they're inclusive right now. I really do. But again, professional development is something that I feel that the teachers should really have that type of training specific to that. There's different trainings, and I would definitely support that they have the voice and choice in the type of training. Thank you.
I'll just take it to the next level and say everyone who works for the district should be trained in diversity, equity, and inclusion because it's the way of the world right now. You look at corporate America, that is a key initiative. If you look at the nonprofit sector, that's a key initiative. I work for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It's a national organization, and that's a national strategy to work over with 5,000 clubs, 5,000 leaders to understand what diversity and equity and inclusion is, and I think it should be a pillar of our district as well.
I agree. We need to have diversity, equity in our schools. It does start with the teachers to make sure that they model that behavior to their students. There is no way around it because when they see it in person, they will model it. They would learn from it. So, and then the communication. Open communication about values is always important because we need to learn how to collaborate and respect each other. That's it.
Thank you. I agree with everybody with what's been said on the board. Obviously, it's a no-brainer. Teachers are the front line to our students, and again, everything relates back to our students, and the teachers are the front line. I had the opportunity to be a substitute teacher at El Rancho Unified for 2 years, and I did see that. The teachers here at El Rancho Unified, I believe, are the best teachers around. I'm not just saying that because my sister has been a teacher here for 30 years, but I truly believe that their heart is in the right place. And when your heart is in the right place, I believe that anything can get done. But the constant training should be made available for the teachers, just to reinforce it as well. Thank you.
As a board member, how can you ensure that children are safe and supported in their gender identity and gender expression? And do you think that this kind of, how young do you think this discussion of gender should begin? And we will start with Ms. Mejia, work our way to Ms. Castillo, and end over on this side.
I believe that we should be inclusive. Obviously, I am an ally. We need to promote that safe environment for our students. We have programs such as, character counts and Osveus, anti-bullying, but just making it a positive school culture, because you shouldn't be pointed out if you're different. We should celebrate differences. Sometimes they say color outside the lines instead of staying within the lines. As far as the age, should definitely be age appropriate. I don't think it should start at elementary school, to be honest with you. I would feel more comfortable like at the middle school level. Thank you.
Well, I think it goes back to what we just talked about with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and really having that fundamental understanding of it, and really being inclusive of every child, no matter how they view themselves and see themselves. I currently don't have a position on what age it should be discussed, but we can't avoid that social media is available to our kids, and they're already seeing it every day. So wherever that is, we have to strategize as a district to meet the kids where they are, to provide the right resources and understanding, and for them to be compassionate to children who are different in sexuality and how they identify, and any of the other nature that they view themselves. So for me, it's an evolving thing, and we need to understand what we can do in the district with respect to that.
Thank you. Every child needs to be accepted in their schools, regardless of what their identity is. And they are growing from, let's say the second and third grade. There is some awareness today on TV. They see everything there is, and so they ask questions, they wonder. And all you can do is, as parents and as well as teachers, is to explain to them and have them accept. Because it's all about acceptance. Everybody deserves a life that they can live anyone they want, and we need to understand that and appreciate it.
So we promote a learning environment, and as far as gender identity and expression is concerned, I feel that, like everyone has said here, everyone should feel safe in the classroom, and they should feel included in the classroom, because without feeling safe and included, they're not going to learn. And we're here, or the school district is here to teach our kids. Our kids are there to learn. And if they're in an environment where they're not feeling safe, or they're feeling bullied, or their identity is questioned, or they're not allowed to express their own identity, or they're not allowed to express themselves, they're not going to feel comfortable to learn in that environment. As far as the age is concerned, I think it should start at a middle school level, but if it's down at a lower level, it should be on a case-by-case basis. You could get the parents involved, and it should be on a case-by-case basis. I'm open to that.
As far as gender expression, so in my current position, I work for the Women's Foundation California, and we're always pushing for gender justice. Every meeting I go to, our pronouns are there, and again, this is different. I'm not at a school district. We're working with K to 12. As far as age goes, I agree with most of the folks here. It should be at the elementary school level, definitely case by case. I understand that children are still learning, parents are being involved and still helping them develop. But as it was mentioned, it's everything is out there in social media. Kids have questions, and we have the responsibility to help them come up with their own answers and come up to their own to themselves. So again, if that means improving communication with families and school board members, then that's important.
This person asks, what is your plan for ensuring that all students have opportunities to go to college? The former superintendent wanted to implement the AA track, but it was not approved by the board. If you are elected, will you approve an AA track for our students? And we'll begin with Mr. Lafarga, go to Ms. Castillo, go back to Mr. Contreras, and end with Ms. Mejia.
So full transparency, I don't know what that plan, the acronym is.
AA is a two-year degree.
Oh, 2-year, oh, okay. Associate's degree?
That's what it was, is it?
Help. Look, we have to get our kids to college. You know, we could take the cradle to college approach and design programs from early learners to high school to ensure that our students are on track to get to college. But we also have to recognize that not all of our kids are going to decide to go to college. They might decide a different track to go to trade jobs and other paths that are available. And reality is there's also jobs that are not going to require college degrees. But fundamentally, if we develop a strategy from cradle to college, we can get our kids there. And it's possible because I've worked in organizations that have that strategy, and it involves parent engagement at a high level and them being the advocates for their children at every level of their education to make sure that they get to college.
I guess I'm just as surprised about not having an opportunity for the board to support an AA pathway, because I believe that we have tried to do it. I know that I've asked in the past how many classes do we have with dual enrollment with Rio Hondo, and I'll tell you the number that I saw was 8 courses, 2 to 3 courses a semester. That's sort of sad. The other one is we're looking at getting 19 courses. So that means when a student applies in those courses, they will get college credit. The key is to inform the student to take the class, and they can take the class. But we are looking at 19 courses. We have to see what the enrollment is, but it is about communication to tell the parents and the student what opportunities they can take in different courses.
I went through that. When I graduated from El Rancho, I went to Cerritos College. I got my AA degree at Cerritos College, and then I transferred over to Cal State Fullerton. So the track works, but I do support it. Rio Hondo, I think we should work in conjunction more with Rio Hondo. I don't think that we're tapping into that source enough. We need to communicate more with our sources at Rio Hondo College to be able to make that available. But I also believe in the crafts. I believe in woodworks and welders. I'm a welder by trade, and I believe that college should be made available to everybody, but it's not for everybody. I did both paths, and everybody's going to have that niche. So we should be able to make both of those available to our students. Thank you.
Similarly, when I was a high school junior, I was able to take on a few classes. I actually took 2 classes. My senior year, I took 2 classes. And by the time I went to college, I had already been a second semester freshman. And that was amazing. One, it saved me a lot of money, me and my family a lot of money. But two, I feel like I went in prepared for what college would be like. I truly believe there should be more involvement from El Rancho Unified School District with Rio Hondo to provide more of that seamless path, if that is the case that students want to take. Again, it's really, if I could do college all over again, I would do community college first, so I wouldn't have to rack up so much debt. And they're great teachers, great professors, and really just an amazing community, not just at Rio Hondo, but other community colleges.
So I would definitely support an AE track. I've been waiting for that, actually. I mean, I've been waiting for Rio Hondo to come and present. I've had an agenda item for about 2 years now for Rio Hondo to come and present. They've presented at City Council, but truly developing that relationship with them. We have a location across the street. Other cities have locations too. They're satellites, but ours is truly not a satellite yet, because there should be classes all the time, and not only for the students, but also for the parents as well. So there's a Cradle College framework being established right now by the state, and it starts not only when you're in high school, it starts when you're at preschool. When you start having that education as preschool, you're gonna get a leg up on your education later on, making courses available at middle school for our students. They can start there. We only offer one foreign language right now at our district. We need to offer more. But if they have that opportunity at Rio Hondo, they'll be able to do more. Thank you.
Thank you. The expectation for board members and most adults is that we should be lifelong learners. What is the last book that you read? And do you prefer fiction or nonfiction? And we will begin with Ms. Castillo, go down to Mr. Contreras, and work our way back to Mr. Lafarga.
I have 2 books I'm reading. One when I get tired, and the other one is okay. The one is The Shape of Work in the Future. That I picked up from an MIT seminar I went to. The other one is Critical Thinking, and that is because I needed to understand what was critical thinking, because people talk about it, but how do I apply it, and what can I describe about it?
Trying to think about the last book I read at El Rancho with Mr. McMullen, and it was probably Grapes of Wrath. Since then, I really haven't finished the book. You know, I read the Bible, obviously, and on Sunday at Sunday Mass at St. Mary Ann's. Books that stand out to me, and they're books that I loved, and I tell my children, they could probably say which ones they are. Boxcar Children, you know, back in the 5th grade. The other one would be Island of the Blue Dolphins, you know, and it has a lot of lifelong lessons. But I'm not much of a book reader. But those are the books that stand out to me, you know. But right now, primarily, I read the Bible at church at Mass on Sundays.
For me, it's called What Does It Mean to Serve? I do a lot of interfaith work growing up here. I grew up Catholic, you know, going to St. Hilary. And so on and so forth. But when I went to college, I really started questioning a lot of things. And I think that was amazing to have that opportunity to question everything about myself and what I believe in. And I belong to an organization based out in Chicago that really emphasizes interfaith cooperation. And that book really teaches you how to work with people from different religious beliefs, and really focuses on just really we all come together to serve.
I love to read. So once again, as I mentioned before, I was an English learner, and I started off with looking at Charlie Brown, Peanuts books. That was my introduction at the library, that round library at Pico Rivera, in the center of Pico Rivera. That was like a haven to me, you know, that smell of the books. Then after that, I started reading The Black Stallion, and once I got into that one, I just started going through series. And so I came to this country in 3rd grade. By 4th grade, I was already integrated. So the current book that I'm reading right now is Brené Brown, Dare to Lead. Talks about, being vulnerable, relationships, and also not being afraid to have those tough conversations, and being vulnerable in relationships, which is very key to having good relationships with other people. Thank you.
So at Boys and Girls Clubs of America, we are constantly being trained on something. So I'm always learning, and in my role as an organizational development consultant, I've read The Trusted Advisor recently, which is all about building trust with folks that you're going to work with. And I read The Disney Way, which is all about hyper customer service. And I think those two would apply in this role as a board member.
Well, we were nearly at the time of conclusion of this event, so we will close with our final statements by each of the candidates, and for this we will begin with Mr. Contreras, and we will work our way in reverse order until we get to Ms. Castillo. And the candidates have 1 minute to give a closing statement, and we'll invite them to come to the microphone again.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the League of Women Voters also and everyone that stayed here. I know it's late. I know we all have stuff to do, so thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to my 3 kids for showing up. You guys are on my good list now. I love you guys. As a former student of ERUSD, current parent of 3 students at El Rancho Unified School District, and husband whose wife works at El Rancho Unified School District, I felt that I have a lot of personal equity in this district, not to mention my sister as well who teaches here. My time spent working for and with the residents of Pico Rivera for the past 30 years has taught a lot of what this city is made of and what it is capable of being. We have the opportunity to prepare our students for the future jobs in renewable energy and technical positions that will make our world a better living environment. Our focus needs to be on school safety, mental well-being for everyone, academic excellence, and prioritizing resources to improve our teaching and facilities. I want to thank the League of Women Voters once again for this opportunity, and I hope to gain your support. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night, and God bless you.
Next, we will hear from Jacqueline Valencia.
Good evening again, and thank you, everyone, for your questions. Thank you foremost to all my family that came here. Thank you. That came here to support me. It really means a lot to have your support. I have heard many incredible ideas here tonight, and I'm happy to see such incredible leadership. I hope to be able to be a role model to others and to be a resource. Perhaps when you see me, you think, she's young. And yes, I'm younger than everyone in front of you, but I'm very experienced, passionate, and committed. I care about the well-being and future of students, teachers, and administrators in our district, and will do everything I can to serve this school district. As I said in the beginning, and I didn't say this because I got a little nervous, but I do believe education is power. I believe education is power, as I mentioned earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Pico Rivera neighbors and community, for being here, for being invested, and coming to hear what our views are. Better? Sorry. You've allowed me the opportunity to serve you, and I am 1,000% invested in this community. The role of a school board is to set the direction, establish structure which reflects the values of our community, create a supportive environment, and ensure accountability. Lastly, is to provide community leadership. We need to go back to that mission and vision, but with your input. If we don't own it, we won't live it. We are one district, one city, one community. I respectfully request your vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Esther Mejia. Next, we will hear from candidate Hector Lafarga.
Like everyone, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this forum. I am a champion for kids. As a nonprofit executive focused on servant leadership, I have had the privilege of leading and serving in executive leadership roles in national and local organizations, such as After School All-Stars, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Families Forward Learning Center, the American Red Cross, and currently with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It would be an honor and a privilege to bring my professional experience and personal passion as a youth advocate and as a servant leader to the school board and represent our district. I humbly ask for your support, and I ask you to join me and be a champion for kids along with me. Thank you very much.
And finally, we will hear from Carolyn Castillo.
Thank you. For 32 years at Boeing, I managed facilities projects worth millions of dollars and later worked in program management overseeing organizational performance. If there's one thing I understand, it's budgets, organization, and people. I've already delivered results over the last 4 years. I am not finished. I possess a certain set of unique skills that will set the direction for the school district to a higher level, where our students will be ready for college or the workforce. Experience matters. The experience matters in going forward with the school district, considering the challenges we have. Thank you. I just asked for your vote for November the 8th. Thank you.
Okay, let's give a round of applause to all of our candidates this evening. And I would like to thank all the candidates for being here, for participating, for posting their profiles on votersedge.org, and for being willing to be a servant to the community and to try to guide and listen to the community's needs and serve those needs in the school district. I'd like to thank all the people who were here who helped put this thing on, the city of Pico Rivera and our TV people, as well as the people from League of Women Voters and AAUW and Delta Sigma Theta, who made sure that your questions got written and answered and delivered to us, and that we were able to answer as many as we could. So thank you again, and please remember to think it through, study the measures that are on your ballot, both local, county, and state, and to cast your ballot either by mail or in person on or before November the 8th. Thank you again.